Awesome. Well, welcome to our Perfect Storm webinar. If you're watching this live, welcome. If you're watching this recorded, I'm glad you're checking in. And I'm really excited for today. So most of you parents watching are going to be in a couple different fields. So one of you guys may be watching like, you know what? Why is it that my kiddo struggles with everyday experiences slightly different than other kiddos who may have a little easier time? Whether that's frequent meltdowns, focusing at school, or that chronic stomach ache that medical doctors can't really figure out quite well. Some of you parents might be watching because you're in the thick of it, right? You're in the perfect storm, and you're like, all right, I'm looking for more answers. How can I help my kiddo thrive and be healthier and enjoy life and do all these things? Or you're watching this and you're already a chiropractic patient experiencing the miracles and the changes of a properly regulating nervous system to help adapt and function as well as possible through this. And so if you're here, welcome. We're really excited to have you here. As we go, I'll be diving in a little bit to some of my notes here to make sure I give you all the information. Sam and I have also put together an amazing resource for you that you can request on our Instagram page, or simply give us a call or email us asking for it. It's a full-on handout, digital form or printed, that has all the information we're going over today, as well as steps and tricks that you can be doing at home to get as healthy as possible and learn more about what we're doing here at the office. So let's get started. So today we're talking about the perfect storm, which is really just a dysregulated nervous system over a period of time. And we've found trends and things that have led up to these kiddos struggling with their health the way they are. And so in recent years, there's been an alarming rise in neurodevelopment disorders among children, as well as a drastic increase in chronic disease overall for our kids. While chronic disease was virtually non-existent for our kids multiple generations ago, it's now at a shocking 40%, and that includes autism, ADHD, anxiety, depression, allergies, autoimmune functions, obesity, and so much more. As well as CDC recently came out with statistics saying that 1 in 31 kids now are diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, up from a previous 1 in 44. ADHD diagnoses have skyrocketed, with nearly 12% of kids between the age of 3 and 17 now being diagnosed with ADHD. Since 2010, major depression among teenagers has risen by a staggering 145% in girls and 161% in boys. Similarly, college students are now experiencing a 134% increase in anxiety and 106% increase in depression. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. So our kiddos are sicker and more unhealthy than ever before. And so our goal today is to really dive into why is that happening, what is going on. And really the answer that we have found over time isn't a shortage of medications or resources, but it's a dysfunctional, deregulated nervous system that isn't adapting and functioning the way it should. So welcome, my name is Dr. Carl. Myself and Dr. Chelsea here practice at Tree of Life Chiropractic in Rochester. We specialize in kids and parents and families to be as healthy as possible, because we know if we want to have the biggest impact on our community and our future, we have to address our kids' health, because our kids are not getting healthier, right? And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about a drug-free, holistic approach to our child's nervous system and how to unlock all that dysregulation and stress to allow them to live to their full potential. So what is the perfect storm? Well, the perfect storm is a combination of stressors and events that so many of our kids are going through earlier and earlier in life, sometimes even pre-conception or pre-birth. And so it's a trend we see here often at Tree of Life, and this is kind of an example of what it looks like. We'll dive into it a little bit more, but often these kiddos we find had a stressful pregnancy, whether it's physically, emotionally, or chemically. And then there's a birth trauma like induction, long, difficult labor, vacuum, forceps, or C-sections. And then as infants, we're finding these kiddos are struggling with colic and reflux, constipation, difficulty latching or sleeping. And then as they get older, we're finding frequent and common ear infections, allergies, asthma, and sensory issues. And then behavioral challenges such as meltdowns, hyperactivity, anxiety, difficulty in school, whether it's focusing or behavioral. And for some of these kids, we're seeing teens come in with struggling with depression, low self-esteem, and even burnout. And that may sound familiar to you guys because a lot of families are going through this on a regular basis. So it's not just you, it's not just your kiddo. We're seeing hundreds and hundreds of kiddos struggling with these same sequence of events that we call the perfect storm. So it's something that's been brewing and slowly growing in our modern world. and our kids are caught in it. So we're going to talk about how can we get out of that and how can we get the nervous system functioning properly. So again, the missing piece of this is the nervous system. So the nervous system ties all this together. So specifically the autonomic nervous system. So to really understand how the nervous system is involved, we got to talk about what the autonomic nervous system is. So the autonomic nervous system is a part of our nervous system that allows our body to function involuntarily, meaning we don't control it. We don't have to make our stomach digest food or our heart to beat, or to control our blood pressure, digestion, or breathing. All these things are done innately because our nervous system or our body knows how to handle that. And there's two parts to that autonomic nervous system. So there's the sympathetic nervous system, which is that fight or flight fight or flight stress response that we may have just gone through. Now, the key component of that parasympathetic nervous system is the vagus nerve. You may have seen a lot of information on the vagus nerve recently, whether that's in news or research or anything like that. And what the vagus nerve does, vagus means wandering. It goes to so many parts of our body, and it helps with our body's ability to relax and recover, but it also has a huge role in our social, emotional, behavioral, and communication functions. So in short, vagal nerve dysfunction also affects our entire nervous system and dysregulation. You know, a lot of research is also showing that they're actually creating ways to stimulate the vagus nerve to help decrease seizures, to help other sympathetic dominant states for these kids. And the coolest part about the vagus nerve is it actually comes out of the brain into the brainstem right in this upper cervical area. So as neurological based chiropractors, we can really address and focus on that vagus nerve without having to do any kind of more invasive procedures. And so when we have a healthy nervous system, our sympathetic nervous system and our parasympathetic nervous system need to function properly together. If they're not balanced or working in homeostasis, there's dysregulation, there's dysautonomia, and dysfunction over time, which leads to that perfect storm. And so as parents, you're probably wondering, well, how is my kiddo struggling with this? Why does my kiddo have dysregulation? What is the perfect storm? Well, there's a lot of factors that really lead into that. And so the perfect storm theory suggests that the child's sympathetic nervous system is becoming dysregulated and overbearing, controlling our body's ability to heal and function. So we're always in this protective state, which our kiddos are, you can see it, so many kiddos, you see them in this protected, tightened up state all the time. So their body can't regulate and heal and function and adapt properly. And so a few of the stressors that we talked about, the life events that really handle that, are coming from preconception and prenatal stress. So if you didn't know, when a mom is stressed during pregnancy, they release a hormone called cortisol. And cortisol can actually be transferred from mom through the placenta to baby. And so research and science is showing that early exposure to chronic stress in our kiddos makes us more susceptible to dysregulation and other challenges down the road due to that chronic stress, that chronic sympathetic overload while we're in utero. So these kiddos are coming out of the womb under more stress than they really need to be. And then we have birth trauma intervention. So the birth process itself is very stressful. Even the most natural, healthy Zen birth creates a lot of tension in the upper cervical spine and that brainstem, which controls so much of our body's health. And so as infants, as we get through the birthing process, whether it's, again, a healthy labor or we need to have interventions like C-section, forceps, vacuum extraction, whatever it is, it creates extra physical stress, and those kiddos are starting life a foot back or a step back because their body's in this sympathetic dominant state already. And the upper cervical area is what we call Houston control. It helps coordinate every function of the body from this area down. So we're talking about stress in utero as well as that birthing process. And then we have what's called early exposure, whether it's toxins and chemicals or just stimulus. And so as infants grow and develop, they're going to encounter a lot of these toxic environments. So that can be chronic illness and infections that lead to frequent antibiotic use and different medications that affect the gut microbiome and the gut-brain axis. And then we have exposure to environmental toxins like heavy metals, pesticides, preservatives, food dyes. Most of our food is just not nutrient dense anymore and there's a lot of additives to it. And then we have sensory overload from bright lights, loud noises, chaotic environments around us that, again, is putting our nervous system in a chronic state of tension. These challenges contribute to so many issues, creating subluxation and autonomic dysfunction, setting the stage for a dysregulated nervous system as we grow and develop into older and older kids. And then there's lifestyle factors. So there's a lot of older research on modern lifestyle factors that can exacerbate or perpetuate a nervous system deregulation in children. And these could be things like a poor diet and nutrient deficiencies, especially essential fatty acids and vitamins important for brain health. And then the lack of physical activity and time spent outside. Our kids are spending less and less time outside than ever before. And so nature and being outside is actually good for our nervous system. If you notice, kids outside seem to be more calmed down, right? Because it's so much better for our nervous system than being inside. And then movement. Our brain craves movement. Movement actually creates so much brain activity that allows us to learn better, focus better, but it's also just good for overall nervous system health. And we have excessive screen time. We're in front of screens more than ever before, not just watching a show in the morning or a movie on a Friday night, but our kids are on screens at school, at work, wherever they're at during the day, they're on screens. They're seeing us on our phones, so they're wanting to be on phones. And that screen, that light is just overstimulating their senses and disrupting sleep patterns, which is important for their recovery as well. And so some other elements of the perfect storm that you may see signs from having the perfect storm or being stuck in this dysregulated nervous system looks like this. And I'm going to go over a really long list. And it's not something I looked up on WebMD or anything else online. These are literal complaints that mom and dads have come in for their kiddo, things that they're struggling with on a daily basis. So some of the physical manifestations we see here in the office are chronic pain, headaches, and muscle tension, digestive issues such as constipation, diarrhea, reflux, respiratory problems such as asthma and frequent infections, sleep disturbances including difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep, fatigue or low energy levels, recurrent illnesses or weakened immune system, sensitivities to foods, textures, and environmental factors. And then you have cognitive and emotional symptoms such as difficulty concentrating or focusing on tasks, poor memory or forgetfulness, learning challenges or academic struggles, anxiety, fear, worry, mood swings, emotional outbursts, difficulty regulating emotions, low frustration, tolerance, sensory processing issues such as overstimulation or even under-responsiveness. And we're having behavioral signs like hyperactivity and impulsivity, aggression, oppositional behavior, social withdrawal, isolation, difficulty with transitions or changes in routine, rigid or repetitive behaviors, tics, involuntary movements, self-stimulatory behaviors such as rocking or flapping of the hands, and avoidance to certain activities or situations. These are things that kiddos are coming to our office between the ages of 2 and 18, and they're struggling with these things. And what we find is usually when they're struggling with one, they're struggling with multiple, because again, it's a perfect storm. They're layering. When the body's under chronic stress, it's going to start layering these struggles that keep them from really thriving and moving forward in life and being as healthy as possible. And so it's just scary stuff that we see, and it's increasing more and more. And so you may be asking, well, how does chiropractic work? Well, one, these kiddos who are coming in with these struggles are getting better. We're seeing change. Some kids get better faster, some slower. But how does chiropractic work on that? And more parents are searching out chiropractic because of the results we're getting, not just in our office, but around the country, pediatric chiropractors who are being trained on this, is the fact that we focus on neurologically focused chiropractic care. We don't treat autism. We don't treat ADHD or anxiety. We don't have a certain adjustment for a certain issue. But what we do is we look for a root cause of why is the nervous system so wound up, so tight, so dysregulated, and not adapting to the environment. And so by looking at the root cause, we use a technology called insight scans. So CLA has created an amazing resource that we can find objective findings for our kiddos to figure out what is going on with the nervous system, how can we address it properly. And so we use non-invasive gentle scans. We use 3 components. We use a thermography, which measures up the spine. And what that does, that measures how the nerve's functioning from segment levels, but also as a full pattern. What kind of patterns of dysregulation, nervous system imbalance are we finding? And then the second one we see are SEMG. So that's going to measure muscle tone. How are those muscles holding posture in space? How much tension are we carrying? What kind of patterns can we find in that? And then the third one is HRV. So heart rate variability tells us, are we stuck in the sympathetic dominant state like we talked about? Or are we in that parasympathetic? Where's that homeostasis? And then how is our body adapting to that? Because ultimately, health is not being lacking of symptoms or different struggles or diagnoses. Health is our body's ability to adapt to the environment. And that's where HRV is a great measurement tool for us. And we do these 3 scans on every patient. When you're starting care, we do every 12 visits to actually measure objective change. So it's not just you trying to figure out, are they better today or are they not? We're going to look at actual objective numbers to see, are we improving, and can we measure that? And the greatest thing about that too is we can use these measurements to figure out, all right, what's the best frequency of adjustments? Where's the best places to adjust, create balance in the nervous system so our kiddos can get better as fast as possible. And they're very gentle adjustments. You'll find that most of our kiddos, whether they're verbal, nonverbal, hyperactive or not, they love getting adjusted. The reason why is they can feel the difference. They feel that the body calms down, they can properly function, they're resting better. And so the kiddos that come in and get adjusted, follow their frequency of care, they respond so well that they know they're getting better here, so that they like to come and get adjusted because they can see the change. And so as we start peeling back these layers of neurological stress, our kiddos start thriving, start getting healthier. And I could tell you this all day, but really the ones you want to talk to are the parents here in the office. So if you are watching this and you've responded to care here in the office or somewhere else, I'd love you to post your feedback, tell your story, share your story, because more moms and dads need to know about it. But we have so many great responses here. We have kids who are able to go back to school, who recently had to go home for school. We have kids who are able to do after school activities, play with their neighbors, play with their kids. We've had kids get to prevent themselves from getting tubes in their ears. We've had kids get off medication, Miralax. We've had kids decrease their seizure activity, sleep better, not get sick during the season. We've had kids just happier, right? They're happier, they're more excited, enjoying life, and their families are really benefiting from it. So there's real change happening when you really address the nervous system. So what can you do today? So if you have never had your kiddo scanned or checked, that's the first step. The only way to really know how chiropractic can help with the perfect storm in your kiddos is to get scanned, get checked, figure out what is going on in the nervous system and how can we address it. If you're here in Rochester, we'd love to help you. We have many patients who drive from Buffalo, from Syracuse, from the Pennsylvania border. We have patients who come for intensive care. And so we have resources to help you here. But if you're somewhere else, we would love to help find you a chiropractor that can really help you. If you are local, something that we're doing here in the office is offering what's called a VIP pass. So the reason why we do a VIP pass is we don't want there to be a barrier to get your family, your kiddos checked, to see how we can help them get out of this nervous system lock and be as healthy as possible. So with that VIP discount, it takes 50% off that initial visit. So for $75, you can do an entire two-visit assessment, figure out exactly what's going on, and then we go over a full folder of what we found, what that looks like before you have to commit to anything. And so that's the first thing we're going to offer. Secondly, is share this with another family who might be struggling. There's a quote from BJ Palmer that says, "You never know how far-reaching something you say, think, or do will affect the lives of millions tomorrow." And I love that because it's so true. You don't know that sharing one webinar or one resource or even some kind words to somebody can change their day and then therefore change multiple people's days in life. And so if you're watching this, we'd love for you to share it, save it for those who might need it in the future. And in closing, I just want to leave you with this. Your child's not broken. They're not their diagnosis, right? And it's never too late. We see kids change their trajectory of their life all the time through being healthier and thriving through what we do here in the office. And whether we're going to be able to help you here as a chiropractor or if you're somewhere else, we'd love to cheer you on, be a resource for you, and help in any way we can. So if you enjoy this, make sure you also request for that guide. Dr. Sam has also put in a lot of time to really make that a great resource for you. So that is for you. It's free. So you can request that on our Instagram page or send us a message. And make sure to reach out if we can do anything to help you guys. So have a great day. Let's get these kids healthy, and we'll talk to you soon.